Hello everyone. Welcome to our video deploying infrastructure automatically to the cloud using Terraform and Azure Pipelines. So we are going to see a complete tutorial on how to use Terraform for automating infrastructure as code to the cloud and using Azure Pipeline. We will see and learn different component and configuration. So first, I will give you an overview about the demo workflow. This will help you to understand the abstraction of all the steps in this demo, and also during the workflow and the steps, I will explain and teach you many information and the knowledge about different configuration to understand more about the Terraform and the Azure pipelines and the configuration management, the infrastructure as code, and then we will go for the demo. But first, let me give you a quick introduction about myself. My name is Mohammed Radwan. I'm a developer technologies MVP and principal DevOps consultant. I have been doing software development for more than 15 years now, worked on several projects for different enterprise customers across different regions and countries. I heavily participated in the community, developed several frameworks, presented many sessions, holding various certificates for Azure and DevOps. I started back in 2002 as a classic ASP developer, relocated multiple times in multiple countries, worked with several technologies and for different roles and positions. And for the last 8 years, I moved to consultancy-based role where I focused more on helping different companies, some of them from the Fortune 500, to improve their software development and delivery using DevOps and automation. I have developed and authored several frameworks, command line tools, and guides. You can find them on GitHub and Azure DevOps Marketplace. I like to share my experience. This is why I have a YouTube channel and blog where they have hundreds of videos and posts that share different topics from my real experience. I have presented many sessions in several user group conferences, events, and customer site as well in different countries. So I got the chance and the opportunity to work in different culture, project size, and company size as well, which helped me to have different experience. Here are some links for my activities. So I will start the demo by opening the Azure DevOps pipeline and then start navigating to the continuous integration pipeline and queue a build pipeline. This pipeline will run a build for the web application using ASP.NET. So it will first start by installing all the NuGet package, building the application, running the unit test, and then creating the web package.zip file for the web application, and then start storing this package on the artifacts on Azure DevOps. Also, it will store the Terraform configuration file on the artifacts with the web package. So first, what is the Terraform configuration file? Terraform configuration file is the infrastructure as code using Terraform configuration language. So this file describes to Terraform engine the needed infrastructure for our application. Terraform uses its own file format called HashiCorp configuration language. This is very similar to YAML. And before digging more about Terraform configuration file and describe how this file describes the infrastructure, let's first understand how Terraform works. Terraform generate or compile configuration file into execution plan describing what it will do in order to reach the desired state for the needed infrastructure for the application, and then execute this plan to build the described infrastructure in the Terraform configuration file. And after that, Terraform stores the infrastructure state in a state file. When the configuration is changed, Terraform is able to understand all the changes and not just to create a new execution plan, but instead it just create incremental execution plan which can be applied. By default, Terraform stores a state locally in a file named Terroform.tfstate. When working with Terraform in team, use a local file makes Terraform very complicated. This is why it's better to work with a remote state Terraform, which means writing the Terraform state into a remote data store. As we now storing the web package and the infrastructure as code, which is the Terraform configuration file on the Azure pipeline artifacts. So the next step is to run a continuous deployment pipeline. So the first step in the continuous deployment pipeline is to create the resource group and the storage account needed to store the Terraform state. Once the storage account created, then the pipeline will get the storage key so it can be used later, so the pipeline can save the Terraform state to that storage account. Then after that, the pipeline will pick the Terraform configuration file. And then the next step is to start installing Terraform on the pipeline. Then once the pipeline look at the Terraform configuration file, it will understand that this configuration file is targeting Azure cloud providers. Then the initiate command will start installing the Azure suite, which is required for Terraform to interact with Azure cloud providers. Once this complete, then the plan command will be executed, which transform or generate or compile the Terraform configuration file into an execution plan that describe the complete infrastructure and the desired state for that infrastructure. Then the apply command for the execution plan, which will start creating the infrastructure and the desired state. It will start by creating Azure Service Plan and then a web app. After creating the infrastructure, then Terraform will start storing the infrastructure state in the storage account. Now the infrastructure is ready. If there is any change in the configuration, Terraform doesn't generate a new execution plan. Instead, it generates an incremental execution plan which can be applied. Once this complete, it means that the infrastructure is ready. Then the pipeline will start to pick up the web package and start deploying that to the web app and extracting all the files to the web app. And then my web app will be ready, and then I can browse and open this web app. So let's see the demo. So let's look at the sample project that I will use in this demo, which is Parse Unlimited web application, a website for car parts. And this is the source on GitHub. And this is a key feature, ASP.NET 5, support Linux and Mono using Visual Studio 2017 and many others. You can watch this video for more information about Docker, containerization, and where and how Docker can fit with DevOps and CI/CD pipelines. So first, let's go for Azure DevOps demo generator where I can generate the project files. So this is the Azure DevOps demo generator. I will just sign in. Then here I will choose the Azure DevOps organization that I want to generate the project. And then here choose the template, navigate to DevOps Labs, and choose the Terraform. So as we can see, this template or project files require two Azure Pipeline extensions to be installed. The first is replace token and the Terraform. So I need to install this extension if they are not already installed. So I will open both of them. So I can install them here just to get it for free. Then choose the Azure DevOps organization, which is correct. Complete. Then Terraform. The same organization. Now it's complete. Then just confirm again the organization, make refresh. So as we can see now, both extensions are installed and it's ready. So just name the project, any name. I will name it Terraform project. Then click create project. So this will create the project with all work items or needed and so on. So let's close that now and navigate to the Azure DevOps, refresh. So we can see that the Terraform project created with all artifacts in this project. So if I open the project, navigate to the repos, then from the branch and repos, we can see that we have a branch called Terraform. So there is a folder called Terraform, and this is the Terraform configuration file. which is our infrastructure as code file using Terraform. So this file describes to Terraform engine the needed infrastructure for our application. Terraform uses its own file format called HashiCorp configuration language. This is very similar to YAML. And before digging more about Terraform configuration file and describe how this file describes the infrastructure, let's first understand how Terraform works. Terraform generate or compile configuration file into execution plan describing what it will do in order to reach the desired state for the needed infrastructure for the application, and then execute this plan to build the described infrastructure in the Terraform configuration file. And after that, Terraform stores the infrastructure state in a state file. When the configuration is changed, Terraform is able to understand all the changes and not just to create a new execution plan, but instead it just create incremental execution plan which can be applied. By default, Terraform stores a state locally in a file named Terraform.tfstate. When working with Terraform in team, use a local file makes Terraform very complicated. This is why it's better to work with a remote state Terraform, which means writing the Terraform state into a remote data store. As we now understanding how Terraform works, let's understanding the Terraform configuration file. The first part in the configuration is the storage account. So this is not part of our infrastructure, but instead, this is the remote storage place where the Terraform engine will use to store the Terraform state file. We have our infrastructure as a 3 resources here. So we can have, this is the first resource, which is the resource group. And then here a service plan, then a web app using the service plan. This is the current infrastructure. So this is the resource group, and this is the service plan, and this is web app. And also we will use a replacement token, as we can see a suffix and prefix. So this will be replaced with variables from the pipeline, as we will see later. So all of that will be just a placeholder, so we can replace these variables with a value from the variables in the pipeline. The same here for replacing this variable, which is the app name, with the desired app name that I will put in my variable. So let's navigate now to the pipeline. So this is a continuous integration pipeline. Let's open it and click edit. So as we can see, because my application is ASP.NET Core application, so this is the task for build the application. The first is restoring the NuGet package, then here building the application, then running the unit test, and here just to create the package and publish that package. And this is the task to copy the Terraform files to the artifacts. The main idea here is just copy the configuration file that we saw before into the artifact, so the deployment pipeline can pick that configuration to understand how to create the infrastructure from this file. So we can see that this will choose the directory or the folder where I have my Terraform configuration file, and then just all the files in this directory, and here publish these artifacts to a folder called drop. So this task will publish both the web package and the Terraform configuration file on the artifact, so it can be ready by the continuous deployment pipeline. So let's now queue the build. It's hosted Visual Studio 2017 because this is the ASP.NET application. Then this will run the build. So let's open that so we can see the details of running the build. Checking out, restore the NuGet package, build the application. Now running the unit test. Publish or create the package. Then copy the Terraform, publish artifacts. You can watch this video for more information about Kubernetes cluster, how to deploy Docker image to Azure Kubernetes service, and how to configure CI/CD pipelines for an end-to-end development and deployment scenario. So as we can see here, this is the artifact published, which include the web package and the Terraform configuration file. And also this is the test result of the unit test, which is all of them completed successfully. So I can open the artifacts from here if I click here, or I can navigate outside from here and navigate to the artifacts and then click published here. We can see the drop location, which includes the web package and also the Terraform configuration file, which will be ready for the next step, which is running the continuous deployment pipeline. So the continuous deployment pipeline now can take the Terraform configuration to understand the desired infrastructure needed for this web application, and then create that infrastructure, and then take this package and deploy that to that infrastructure. So if I click that, this will download the file. So let's now navigate to the release pipeline and click on the continuous deployment pipeline, click edit, and go for the tasks. So here, the first task is to create the storage account. I just need to navigate to select my Azure subscription, and then click authorized. So I can log in here with just my username and password. Here to just authorize the pipeline to have a permission to create resources on my Azure subscription. Just take a few seconds. So what this task will do is just to create the storage account on my Azure subscription that Terraform will use as a remote location for storing the Terraform state. As we explained before, we have two options for storing Terraform state, either local file or a remote storage. So this is our storage where we are going to store the Terraform state. The next task, we just need first to choose here Azure Resource Manager and authenticate my Azure subscription, give authorization. So this task just to get the resource key so I can have access to that storage with the Terraform, so I can save the Terraform state. The next task is replace token. This just again looking for the Terraform configuration file and start replacing all the token with the variables in the pipeline. So if I go for the variable, navigate to variables, we can see here all this variable will be replaced by the value based on the replace token as I showed you before. So for example, the app service name will be replaced with that name, and the app service plan will be replaced with that. Let me remind you. So if I open here the Terraform configuration file, so as we can see, the storage key, for example, this will be replaced. The same for the app service plan from the value in this variable. Exactly, this will be the name of the service plan. Okay, let's navigate now to the pipeline and for the task. And now for the Terraform tasks. The first is to install the Terraform on the pipeline agent. In this task, I put the Terraform desired version that I want to install. Then the next task is Terraform initiate. Because Terraform can use different cloud providers and even on-premises, so the initiate task will start looking inside the Terraform configuration to understand what is the needed providers. For example, in our case, we are going to create resources on Azure Cloud. So Terraform initiate will understand from the Terraform configuration file that this is required an Azure providers, and they will install on the pipeline as needed for the Terraform engine. Of course, here I specify where to find the configuration file, and here of course I need to give authorization for my Azure subscription so it can look at that. So this is the container to store the Terraform state, and this is the Terraform state file. This is the Terraform plan task. I just need also to give authorization for my Azure subscription. This task executes the plan command, which is using to compile or translate the Terraform configuration into an execution plan that explains the detailed steps to create the desired infrastructure. The Terraform apply and auto approve task, which run validate and apply. This will apply the execution plan, which actually create the actual resources. And usually this command require a confirmation. And this is why I put a parameter with auto approve, since we want to automatically approve that because we don't want to interrupt the automation of the pipeline. I just need also to confirm or authenticate for Azure subscription. And the last task is to just deploy my web package to the created infrastructure, which in this case, the Azure web app. Authorize my Azure subscription. And then here, this is the name, and this is the place where it will search for the web package with the extension .zip. Then just save. And before we executing a release, let's look at our current Azure resources. So if I navigate to Azure resource, refresh, and then let's create a new release. And from here, I will choose the previous build that I run, which has the artifacts, including the web package and the Terraform configuration file. Now click create. Let's open an instance of this release running. Now it's running. Open a new instance so we can see that from inside and outside. I prefer to give you two views. So this is from outside and this is from inside. As we can see, download the artifact. This is the third task of 10. As we can see, this is succeeded. This is the key of resource. You can watch this video for more information about Git with animation. You will see different animated commands like branch, merge, rebase, cherry pick, and many others. Now it's complete. Let's refresh here. So we can see the Terraform resource group created. And if we open that, we can see that I have this storage account, which I will use to store the Terraform state. If I open that, we can see I have a container. Open the container. So I have a Terraform container here. And inside the container, I have the Terraform.tfstate. So let's go for this file, click edit. So this is the current state of the infrastructure. And now close. Just navigate to resource group and see the current deployment. Now it's creating, applies the infrastructure, which is applying the execution plan of the Terraform. Just applying all the execution plan. Now it's completed. So as we can see, this task is just to create the actual infrastructure, and this task will deploy the web app package to the created infrastructure, which is in my case, Azure web app. So now it succeeded. Let's navigate now outside. From outside, it succeeded. If I refresh now my resource group, we can see that I have a new resource group. This name exactly the same name inside the variable, which replaced by the replace token. If I open that resource group, we can see that I have here, this is a web app and this is the service plan. If I open the web app, then here click browse. This will navigate me to the web application loaded from the Azure web app. If I navigate back to the resource group and click the Terraform, navigate to the storage account, the container, the Terraform, and then look at the Terraform state, click edit. So this is the current Terraform state of our infrastructure. At the end, I would like to thank you for watching the video. Please, if you have any question or comment, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find more information on my blog, which will appear at the end of the video, along with some other related video. Thank you.